Welcome to Becoming Parents Podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Campbell. I'm a doula in Washoe County, Nevada, a Medicaid provider, a lactation educator, childbirth educator, and mom of 18. You can find me and connect on doulainreno.com. Remember, give a shout out to those who are brave enough to share their stories with us on how they have become parents. Let's dive in. Welcome to Becoming Parents. I'm your host, Jennifer Campbell, and I'm here with Lauren Tetenbaum. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
I'm excited to have you. This is really exciting. I want you to jump in and share your parenting journey, or we're going to go off on a tangent. So you jump in and start.
Sure. I know I think we'll have a lot to talk about today,
Yes, we
but
will.
I am married to my husband, who was my friend in college, and we started dating at the end, and we had our ups and downs, but we got married in 2012. We have two beautiful kids who are 9 and 7, and our journey to becoming parents was easier than a lot of other people's. We're very, very fortunate in terms of our fertility journey. I will add, though, that I have always struggled with anxiety and depression, and I will forever be grateful to my OBGYN who encouraged me to see a reproductive psychiatrist when I was ready to start thinking about getting pregnant. And I went on mental health medication that honestly changed my life, saved my life in so many ways. And I'm a much better parent, person, and therapist because of it. So it is certainly part of my parenting story.
I actually love that because, well, I have some questions about that too, but in private practice, if a woman ever had experienced prior depression and anxiety prior to pregnancy, I just said, great, you know what to be aware of,
Yes.
which is true. Because if you haven't, you don't know the signs. And I'd encourage you to establish care with a therapist, because what I find is women postpartum think things are normal that are not. So I definitely want to talk about that. And if you need to establish care, you have to find a therapist who has an opening, wait 3 months sometimes to get in. If medication's involved, then you need to get on my medication, which can take 3+ weeks to get in your system. So you're talking like months and months go by of really needless suffering.
Absolutely.
And so I love this part of your story. I want to talk about the medication. Were you put on it prior to getting pregnant? And was that a long-term thing for you?
I'm still on it. So
All right.
yes, about 10 years now.
Okay.
And it truly changed my life. And I likewise encourage women to set up care. And I say to them, whether they're entering into a pregnancy phase or perimenopause, if they do have a prior history of mental health issues, they are at higher risk, to your point.
Yes.
But knowledge is power. And that doesn't mean you're doomed to suffer. That means, okay, I know myself. I know what helps. I know what might help. I know who I can call. I know what to look out for. And you're really empowering yourself to set yourself up for success. So, similarly, my OB said, just talk to a psychiatrist who specializes in this. And there's no forcing anyone on medication, right? And I likewise say that to my clients now. If they're really struggling, I say just start with a conversation, get some education about your options, enhance your support team with different modalities, get information, education. And I did. And I chose to try the medication before pregnancy. And then it worked really well for me. I was lucky that it was a good fit. And I've played with the dosages over the past 10 years, but I've been on the same type and I've been working with a reproductive psychiatrist, and I'm really grateful.
I think, first of all, good for your OB, because
Yeah.
I find that to be one of the last people on the care team that recommends that, which is so
Yeah.
unfortunate. And the other hitch in the system, like you have 10-minute visits with your OB, but then postpartum, you're released
Oh,
from the
yeah.
hospital at 24 hours. You don't see them for 6 weeks. And that's like high five, you can lift stuff over 20 pounds and have sex.
No sex. Yeah.
like,
You're
we
like,
don't
what am
even,
I
right.
doing?
We don't even, like, who cares? Like, have sex when
Mhm.
you're ready. That's the thing that everybody's so worried about. Like, if you're not
Correct.
ready, don't. If you're ready before that and your body feels okay, be gentle. Like, that is the least of my concerns postpartum with
Totally.
a woman. And so I also set clients up, and I'm sure you do also, that the OB, they may feel very alone for that 6 weeks, and an
Mhm.
expectation that it's going to be like, your fairy godmother
Yes.
appointment, and it's very much not that appointment. And so
Mm.
you're hugely bridging that gap.
Thank you. Yes, and that's why I went into the work I do as a psychotherapist in part because I wanted to provide the support to women and moms that I wish I had had as I was a young lawyer starting out in my career. And then I became a mom still working at law firms, and it was really challenging. And then I noticed that even though I had so many privileges and again, good fortune in so many ways, I was still struggling. And I thought, well, if I'm struggling, what about everybody else? And how can I
Yeah.
provide support? And it's not doctors' faults that our healthcare system is broken and that women
No.
aren't prioritized in society, but those are realities. And so I do try to fill the gaps, as I know you do too.
Tell me about this specific psychiatry. What did you call it? I'm trying to,
Perinatal?
yeah. Well, I mean, I know you do perinatal, but
Yeah.
yeah, I just feel like your
Oh,
therapy is niche down.
yes. So I think reproductive psychiatry. So
Yes.
I'm a licensed clinical social worker. So I do a variety of psychology-based modalities, mostly cognitive behavioral therapy. But what I personally love about being a social worker in particular is the collaboration and the social justice pieces involved. And one of the main collaborations that I often utilize and engage in is with other healthcare providers like reproductive psychiatrists, like
Yes.
doulas, like nutritionists, like OBGYNs, other medical providers, nutritionists, sleep specialists. I mean, the list goes on. And
Mhm.
it's really a cool part of my work because I'm in private practice. I work, for myself, by myself, and yet my network is huge, right?
Yeah. I love that. You're right. Women are not prioritized. If you look at men and women, and just on average, we're 50% of the population, the
Yep.
amount of money that goes into research, and yes, it's just
Yeah.
not great. Um, so I'm glad that there are people like you that are trying to change that. What
Thank
about, I want to take it to infertility. I know that wasn't part of your
you.
story specifically, but I'm thinking of the life transitions that, whether you had pre-existing or prior depression and anxiety,
Mm.
I went through infertility, and I was ill prepared, to say the least,
Sure.
at what that would do to me emotionally.
Yeah.
So, at what point do you tend to intervene, or are people referred to you, or do you like to start setting up
Mm.
a care plan with someone?
So, even though this is in my interest as a businesswoman, I genuinely believe that anyone engaging in some sort of life transition automatically should get a therapist or some sort of external support. And so,
Mm,
to me, that means the day you decide I'm interested in starting a family, try to set yourself up for having those resources, right? Because your journey could be more difficult than you expected when it comes to fertility. It could also
mhm.
go as expected, and yet it's still really tough. So
Right.
I think, and then going back to work and raising children and hopefully you're feeling good physically, maybe not. There's so many different aspects to becoming a parent. Maybe you're exploring becoming a parent through adoption or through assisted reproductive technology, not because of infertility, but because of other issues.
Hmm.
So I think every woman, every parent or aspiring parent deserves extra support, automatically.
Yeah.
For those who don't have that mindset or awareness, I really think that as soon as you're not feeling like yourself, however that might look for you, get support. So if you're, constantly checking the pregnancy tests or ovulation kits or staying up on the internet, reading Dr. Google, when's the best day to have sex and why didn't I get pregnant this month? Like that's disruptive to your daily life and you
Yeah.
deserve support.
I love that you said when you're thinking about becoming pregnant, because that's a great way to phrase it, because we don't know what that journey is going to look like for
Yeah.
you, right? And holy cow, I think we don't, from the time that we are 12, 10,
Mhm.
and we're getting our periods, and why in the world, if every woman has or will get their period, and we're 50% of the population, why in the world are we embarrassed to put tampons and pads on the conveyor belt? Right? Like
Amen. Hmm.
from that
A
point
woman.
on, yeah,
Yep.
from that
I
point,
love a pun. I had
you did.
to.
I just don't understand why we as women going through this, we don't, not only do we not talk about it, we don't support each other. Sometimes we're the worst
Yeah.
source of tearing each other down. And I find that to be so sad. So I'm really glad that you said as soon as you're thinking about sharing your reproductive journey or
Mhm.
starting that journey, because the, I would have, I can't even tell you how significant of a difference it would have been just to
Mhm.
have be, and you know this, right? Most women who have gone through any of this will agree. You just don't realize where the hiccups are going to be, even if it's quote normal,
Exactly.
and how your body's going to feel and how that's going to affect you emotionally. I
Hmm.
want to take that through. Most of the time it's postpartum. If we have any issues that I think we talk about the most, it would be postpartum depression, but we're not talking about all of that prior. And then I'm going to jump in now and take it all the way through. You say perimenopause, but like I'm postmenopause.
Sure.
That ship has sailed.
Hmm.
Um, and I feel like from the moment you get your first period until you're completely postmenopause, isn't that that's like a massive part of your life, like almost
Yeah.
all of it,
Nearly all of it. But
nearly
yeah,
all of it.
we deserve support
We
and
deserve
to be
support.
talking about it without shame or stigma.
Tell me how you, because as someone who's gone through infertility, pregnancies, postpartum, hysterectomy, and menopause, so I've gone through I just looked at my husband the other day and I'm like, I, I don't have eggs. Like they're gone. They're gone. Like, I don't know why it didn't occur to me before, but just a couple days ago, like
Yeah.
that's really fascinating that they're gone. And what
Mm.
do we call that? Dried up. That's a terrible terminology. Anyway,
That is
talk.
terrible
That's
terminology, which is part of the problem and how we view women, especially older women, right?
right.
Of loss of fertility. We focus on anti-aging, and it's like aging is a privilege. So let's
Yeah.
reframe how we approach it because this isn't doing us any favors.
Take me through those transition and share with me the parallels for women from
Mm.
maybe working through really tough periods through your teenage years, because that's super common, all the way through menopause. And there've got to be a list of overlapping issues and symptoms.
There sure are. So I am not a medical provider, but I did do a ton of research for the book that I wrote called Millennial Menopause. And essentially, our hormones during both, well, puberty, the perinatal period, and perimenopause through menopause are fluctuating wildly. So that has really severe implications for our physical bodies and our mental health. And
Mm-hmm.
if you did have a mental health issue like anxiety, depression, or symptoms of them, you during a reproductive moment like puberty or the perinatal period, you are at higher risk of having a mental health issue during perimenopause. Usually, the mental health symptoms dissipate once you reach menopause, but it can be a very long road, right, to get there. And we want to set women up for success along the way.
I think it's crazy. Again, it's a lack of information and
Mhm.
research. And um, it took me 3 years to find a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had had hot flashes for 10
Mm.
before that. But like when I was really starting to feel not like myself,
Hmm.
and that should never be the case. So I love this. I think OBs at your PAP appointments. Like there's so many times that it would be easy to say, you need to find this type of doctor, or
Yeah,
I am skilled in this. I feel like we're waiting until we're all in the emergency room.
I know. I see that often. I see a lot of, and I've heard from a lot of women who have gone through many different kinds of doctors, many different kinds of treatments,
Yeah.
especially for their psychiatric and mental health. They've been in psychiatric inpatient units and they're in their mid 40s, and no one has mentioned this could be hormonal and maybe hormone therapy could help. It's astounding. And I'm talking about women who live in big cities, who have education, who have resources. So then, of course, we think of, well, what about those who don't, who maybe don't speak English or who don't have the financial means to do private pay without, insurance coverage? So the healthcare system leaves a lot to be desired, but the good news is that we are having more conversations on issues like these and raising awareness.
Yeah.
And when it comes to symptoms, I love what you said about not feeling like myself. And I'm sorry that it took you that many years of feeling that way, but that phrase is common
Yeah.
during perimenopause. And I think it's just a good phrase to have at as you need it, right?
Yeah.
So whether you are postpartum or in perimenopause or in your teens, if something is different and new and not it's bothering you, you don't like it, it's interrupting your daily functioning, get support. What might that look like? So, in these moments of reproductive life transitions, we're seeing a lot of the hormonal fluctuations look like mood swings, irritability, sadness, difficulty concentrating, feeling tired, yet struggling to sleep or to stay asleep, weight gain, body image issues, identity shifts, and then of course physical symptoms like your body is changing, weights in different places, skin changes, hair loss, sweating, vasomotor symptoms, especially during the menopause transition. So one might be experiencing perimenopause and postpartum simultaneously. It's
Oh my
always
gosh,
good.
that is crazy.
Yeah, women these days are having kids later and
Later.
later,
Yeah.
whether it's through IVF or otherwise, and naturally they are both postpartum and perimenopausal.
Holy cow. I mean, I hadn't thought that adds insult to injury. I just
Yeah.
have to, my heart goes out because I had kids younger and that, so
Mhm.
it was very separated for me, but you're right. And I hadn't considered you could be simultaneously going through that. And therapy, well, there's two things that you brought up. Like if a woman is in a psychiatric unit, it's literally a blood test. I can order it online for myself. I can search coupon codes and get a coupon code. Like it is, and then just show up to LabCorp with my printed slip, right? Like it's so easy to check your hormones.
It's actually even easier, quote unquote, than that because, yes, blood work, of course, is important, is telling. And if you want a blood test, you should get one.
Right.
That being said, there is no one diagnostic tool or set of criteria for perimenopause. It's actually a clinical diagnosis that your provider will give you.
Okay.
And that's based on your symptoms. That's based on you saying how you feel. And I appreciate the label, the diagnosis, but for me, it's not even about the term. It's how do you feel?
Yeah,
What's going on? How old are you? What's your history? What are your health goals? And what can we do to make you feel better? And then you try different things.
I agree. I know postpartum, I felt really comfortable. Like, it took me a year to grow a human. Give
Yeah.
yourself a minimum of a year to get back to your pre-pregnancy weight. I was very active all the time, and I gave myself a lot of grace, which I think some women just don't do, or there are extenuating circumstances or a large weight gain. But I mean, really, there's a lot of grace. Menopause was harder for me because it felt like there was no preceding thing that happened. Childbirth. Like I got pregnant, I was pregnant, I had a baby, now I'm healing, right? Like it's a very menopause. There's no like this happens, then this happened. Like there was no preceding event that was like, I'm going to be going through this. It just happens, but the feelings are similar in some ways, except I feel like after pregnancy, you expect to get better, right?
Mm,
You feel better slowly over time. You're sleep deprived, all these things happen. Menopause, it felt like there was no getting better necessarily. Not in the same way because it wasn't triggered by a physical event. You were just having physical symptoms. Just out of curiosity, with your book, I want to shout out about your book. We have the links in the description. Yeah.
Got a copy
Why
always.
did you focus the book on menopause as
Mhm.
opposed to infertility and pregnancy? Because you're young and hot. Like,
So are you.
oh, thanks.
Thank you. I'm 40 and I have always been passionate about women's reproductive health, women's reproductive rights. And as a young mom or mom of young kids myself,
Right.
I was really in tune with the perinatal period. And then I was approaching 39 and I thought, what's next? No one talks about it. And first I thought it was just me. I missed that class. I thought I must have missed something in biology. Well, it wasn't just me because I asked some of my most brilliant friends, doctors, oncologists who specialize in women's health and etc. And they said, no, I got no training or I got one lunch and learn in med school. And I did more
Yeah.
digging and I met with people like Anne Fullenwider, who co-founded Alloy, which is a women's telehealth platform, and other older women who kept saying things like, I wish I had been warned. I wish someone told me that symptoms can last for a decade, that we don't have to accept them, that I don't need to go to the psychiatric unit and be gaslit by providers who are saying, oh, I don't know what this is. And I really kept feeling in my bones. I need to tell my generation so that we're
Yeah.
proactive. We're not looking back with regret about how we handled our health or how we didn't advocate for ourselves. Because to your point earlier, knowledge is power, right? Let's set
Yeah.
up our care team. Let's implement lifestyle habits that we know are going to be good for us. Let's do the research on medication options and providers. And here we are. And I kept asking questions and kept researching, and I wrote it all. And we have a book.
I'm so grateful. And you're right. I mean, at least postpartum depression or, emotion, knowing that you have emotional issues because it is preceded by infertility, a medical event,
Yeah,
right? I guess you could call it a medical event.
sure.
Pregnancy, a medical event. It's like a physical event. Like
Mhm.
you're expecting to have repercussions physically and emotionally because something is triggering it. Where
Mhm.
menopause is like the silent killer. Like it
Yeah.
just kind of it's insidious, it sneaks in, it's
It's
happening.
watching,
It's just it is
waiting and watching.
it's creepy. I mean, really, I'm glad that you focused on it. And I'm so glad that at your age, you were like, wait a minute, what is coming and what does that look like? And why in the world is no one talking about it? But you
Mhm.
really work all the way through from the beginning with women through their entire journey and how many parallels there are in that. I feel like we're just on this hamster wheel of like
Mhm.
the next set of these symptoms could potentially be happening. And then you kind of get a reprieve and then the next set of these similar symptoms. Do you agree with that?
I do, and I also see that on the internet,
Mm,
joking memes about how we can't catch a break, especially as we are getting having kids as we're older. It's like you go right from postpartum into perimenopause. You can't catch your breath. You can't get a good night's sleep. All the other things going on in the world, in your career, in your with your parents, with your kids, however old they are. It can be exhausting to be a
yeah.
woman. Yes. So I don't want to sugarcoat it and say, oh, menopause is great. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I am saying that it is inevitable if we're fortunate enough to reach a certain age.
Mhm.
And we might as well go into it with knowledge, with resources, and with community, because otherwise we're not going to have a good time with it, right?
No, it's not. It was so infertility, 7 pregnancies, 3 losses, a
Mm.
hysterectomy at 33, menopause was the hardest for
Yeah.
me.
I'm sorry to hear that.
That's okay because when you actually create a care team, what I can tell you on the other side is that woman gave me my life back.
So beautiful.
Right. And I think that this isn't just menopause. I didn't struggle with postpartum depression. That wasn't
Mhm.
one of the things that I had to struggle with. You did. I feel that so much in my heart. I think as women, we really like, I get it. I am so sorry. I'm so glad that you had help. We kind of feel that for each other.
Yeah,
Um, and so regardless of when you're feeling not yourself, when you're feeling that, it really is, I think the biggest thing is to become an advocate for yourself, that it's not okay to not feel okay.
exactly. And you don't have to meet the criteria of major depressive disorder or generalized anxiety disorder to get help. This
Right.
is where it goes back to you deserve help automatically. You deserve support. You deserve to have women or anyone that you can talk to and feel
Yeah.
safe with and not judged. And of course, hopefully also a partner or a family that is there for you, whether it's to help with the logistics and making sure you're getting a good night's sleep or just to listen to you, right? That is so meaningful.
It is. I think even postpartum, I mean, basically, I knew in menopause, I should not be making decisions. So it was enough to like, if I want to move out of my house, divorce my husband, and live in a box under a bridge, that's logically not a good
Mhm.
decision. So I should remove myself from the decision making portion of my life right now and just hold tight till we can figure something out. I think as
A
soon
lot of
as
women feel that way.
Right. Oh, he's great. He's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I didn't go live in a box, right? Because like he didn't even know. There was if I'm crying every day and that's not normal, don't just stop and don't make a decision. But I know a lot of women
Mhm.
postpartum feel that way too. There's this
Mhm.
level of emotional and physical overwhelm in your
Yeah.
life
Yeah.
that they feel, whether it's postpartum depression, whether it's just absolute exhaustion,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Where I hope women hear like, stop, don't make that rash decision and
Hmm.
find somebody on your care team that fits the bill. Tell me
Yeah.
about your practice. I want to
Sure.
segue into that. I want to talk about your practice.
So I will tell you about it with the introduction of I totally agree with you. And on a lesser scale, I think that's a good approach to life. If
Yeah.
something is making you triggered, feel elevated, feel emotional, take a pause. And I actually have a bracelet to remind myself it says pause.
Oh, yay.
And it's a DBT skill, the stop skill, because we're not communicating in our best and most effective ways when we're pissed off or anxious, right? So
Right.
don't hit send on the text or call, make the phone call.
Right.
Take a breather.
Yeah.
And certainly if it's a big life decision, take a pause.
Hmm.
So that is a skill that I implement myself. And I also teach my clients who are now women, mostly women in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. I occasionally also work with their partners when we're talking about certain issues like communication around domestic responsibilities and caregiving in the home, and also perinatal mental health and perimenopausal mental health. I just did a presentation earlier today for a corporate workshop and on menopause, and I am so excited to tell you that half the audience was men, and they said I came to support the women in my family, to support my wife, to learn, and I mean, I love that. That's what we need to be seeing more of. So I have the great pleasure and privilege of doing individual and couples therapy. I do workshops and trainings. I do a lot of community events, and I also like to write. And that's how the book originated through an article I wrote called Are You There, Menopause? It's Me, a Millennial Mom.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
Thank you.
That, yay. So
Yep.
you do telehealth and you do it in certain states. I want to make that clear because I was really sad.
Yes.
Because I'm in Nevada and it's not on your list.
Right. So I'm licensed in New York, which is where I live, and New Jersey, California, not California, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Florida. But I do a lot of speaking events
Mhm.
virtually and other in-person events all over. So I
I
get to meet
love
lots of different
that.
people.
I'm glad that men are becoming more aware. It's interesting being Gen X.
Mm,
I think my generation, we were all afraid to get older because our parents were one of the more unhealthy in many
yeah.
ways generations,
Mhm.
right? So we can't, like, golden girls were in their 50s.
I know it's
I'm ready.
wild,
I'm
right?
almost 55.
Yeah.
Please tell me I would not fit in that household, right?
You
Like
would not.
we felt like what we had to look forward to was awful. And then we
Mhm.
kind of
Very
started,
frail.
yes, frail and older,
Mhm.
basically the whole dried up philosophy, right?
Yeah.
Then I think as my generation started getting older, we were like, wait a minute, this isn't
Mhm.
quite as bad. It doesn't look like, because we're a healthier generation that they were better advocates for ourselves.
Mhm.
And I'm really hoping as millennials, you have. I remember once one of my daughters saying, I'm going to be a much better mom than you. And I was like, oh, I hope so, man. If you could take my parenting and one up me, this is the place that you want to be one up. And
Right.
again, advocacy, women's advocacy is a place that I want the next generations to one up me, right?
I totally agree. I was recently I spoke with Dr. Kelly Casperson, who's an amazing advocate in the menopause space. She's a urologist,
Mm.
and we were on two panels together a couple weeks ago in Connecticut and Colorado. And she said that the Gen Xers are hopefully, and it's looking like they are, the last generation of women to suffer through menopause symptoms because millennials are taking cues from them. We're listening to
Mm.
them. We're reading books like my book. We're talking to each other without shame, and we're demanding better access to care.
Yes. That is so great. I'm so excited because Gen X is just pissed. We're all at this age. We're just mad.
It's
We're
funny you said that because in my book I have that quote that Gen X
Gen
is
X is just,
pissed.
well, I
Baby
ordered
boomers are pissed.
I, yeah, we're like, what
Mm.
happened? And millennials are like, wait a minute, if they're that angry, I'm going to write a book about it and
Right.
share this with everyone. I am so grateful for you. With your kids, with the medication, I kind of want to go back and ask this
Yeah.
question for listeners because I'm so grateful that you were open. Like, I went on
Mm.
medication before I got pregnant and it made a huge difference. Tell me
Mhm.
what that looked like for you. And then I know you said you've played with dosages for the last 10 years. That's great. But what did it look like through pregnancy and postpartum, regardless of the dose, just the medication in general?
Sure. So I have always been very type A. I grew up in New York City. I went to an Ivy League school and then I got two master's degrees. I've always been like a go, go, go. Anxiety can be motivating sometimes. It can also be debilitating. And
Yeah.
there was always inside me this sense of urgency, almost like a stomach ache where you feel like anything can knock you off the cliff, right? And my anxiety was with a splash of depression, and anxiety and depression are cousins. They're closely
Mm.
related, they're often together. Some present, some symptoms present more than others depending on the time. For me, it was anxiety with a splash of depression. I had tried an SSRI in my 20s. It was okay. I went off it because I thought, well, I'm getting married and one day want to have a family, and I don't think I can be on an SSRI while pregnant. That's not accurate. And I didn't have the education until my OB and the reproductive psychiatrist educated me. So, not all medications are safe while in pregnancy,
Hmm.
or while pregnant, but many are. So, please talk to your healthcare provider if they're reluctant to prescribe you. There are so many resources out there, including Postpartum Support International,
Yeah.
which offers a psychiatric consultation for any medical provider looking for information. So, please refer them to that because you deserve comprehensive care. So for me, when I was thinking about getting pregnant and I went on a different SSRI that was new to me, it just took me off that edge and it made
Mm.
me feel still like me. It's not a numbing cream, but it made my anxiety much better. Of course, I still get anxious, frustrated, moody, all the things. I'm human. It doesn't make me a robot, but it helps me feel better. And I also got much more in tune with my mood, my body, etc. So I've been on it for 10 years. I was on it through two pregnancies, healthy pregnancies, through two healthy deliveries, through breastfeeding. I mostly pumped. all good, safe and effective. And again, I'm grateful to science and to evidence-based medicine because it really changed my life. And I also am very open about it because, of course, day in and day out, I work with women who are experiencing mental health struggles, whether again, it's the full diagnosis criteria or a stressful day. They all deserve support. And for those that are really suffering, I encourage them get information from a provider who can give you options.
I wanted you to summarize that from your experience because I know that there are medications safe in pregnancy and postpartum. And you're right, like before, I don't know if I would have asked myself the question if there are, but basically for pretty much anything, not just depression and anxiety, like anything that you're going through, if what you're on is not safe, there is an alternative that
Yeah.
is safe. And so you just have to let them know I'm pregnant, I'm planning on breastfeeding,
Mhm.
because in the clients that I've worked with that needed to go that route, it was like they said they felt like they got themselves back again, which is how I felt with menopause.
Yeah.
I mean, like I got my life back. I was
Mm.
the best version of myself. It's not, it does a lot of the heavy lifting. It's not fixing everything. I'm glad you pointed out, like, you're still going to have
Of course.
anxiety. You're still
Yeah.
going to have bad times,
Bad
but
moods. Yeah.
sure, like we don't want you to be a robot and numb,
Correct.
but taking the edge off so you can feel more like yourself is
Mhm.
what a gift. I
It
mean,
is a great.
really, it's a gift.
Yeah. It's a tool. It's a tool in our toolbox. Good sleep, good stress
Yeah.
reduction tools. Exercise is one of the best medicines out there, truly. But we often need more than one tool, and everyone has to figure out what works for them. But you should always be met with compassion and the willingness to point you in the right direction if that particular doctor or whomever can't do it themselves.
Lauren, I am so grateful that you're so willing to share your
Thank
story,
you.
really, because it takes courage for us to share our stories. It shouldn't have to feel that hard, but I know for some people it is. And I think if you can help one person, so all the links are in the bio. If people are in those states where they can utilize your therapy and that's an option, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Sure. So you can email me, Lauren at thecounselor.com,
Oh,
counselor with LAUR for Lauren, which is also my Instagram handle. And my website is thecounselor.com, but you can also get to it via millennialmenopause.com. So reach out. Always happy to point people in the right direction.
thank you so much.
Thank you.